Hi everyone, it's AJ. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I don't know why, the time felt right for me to go through all my horror films and take a look at what I've got on a couple of shelves of horror that I have. Now, horror isn't a genre that I'm massive on, but I appreciate that people love it, and it has a strong fan base. You know, people are passionate about their horror, and yeah, good luck. Like I said, horror isn't necessarily for me. It's not a go-to genre like it is for a lot of other people, but I do have horror films within my collection. So I'm going to go through them now. And now, first of all, I've got to talk about what defines a horror, because this video isn't going to include stuff like aliens. That's like horror sci-fi, or Alien is, but I'm not going to include that. There's other films I won't include, like off the top of my head, Shaun of the Dead, horror comedy, that sort of thing, you know. But there might be some I come across that I will say at the time I don't really consider this to be horror myself. But anyway, so let's just go on it, and this is going to be in no particular order whatsoever. Just to let you know, the video is going to be in a couple of parts, because otherwise it'll be massively long. Yeah, so let's just get to it, shall we? Let's get into it. Okay, so first up, we have the film Ready or Not. Now, this is one of those films, I don't know whether to really have classed it as a horror film or not. It's just not what I class as a horror, but, you know, I think it falls into that genre somehow. Strong bloody violence, gory images. But yeah, it was a fun film. It was very enjoyable, and thusly, yeah. Next up, we have the 7 Saw films in this little pack here that I got a hold of. Obviously, they're sort of spread over the things, and there's a code there. Look, I don't know if that's still going to work or not, but please, if you get that, and feel free to try, because I won't use it. So yeah, the Saw movies there. Yeah, and then we have sort of Doomsday. Now again, is this a horror, isn't it? I don't really know, but there you go. Now, I've got a couple of Italian films here, Killer Croc series from 88 Films. Now, I picked these up in CEX a while ago. They're old films, like I said, they're, you know, but again, I wouldn't include something like Jaws as a horror or anything like that, but these are rated 18. And I do have films like Lake Placid. Again, I won't be showing that in this list, because I don't believe it to be horror as such. Then we have Bram Stoker's Dracula, fantastic film, very good. My Bloody Valentine, 3D, and it comes with the old-fashioned 3D glasses. There you go. Then I did pick this up. Now, I picked this up solely because it had this fantastic lenticular cover on it, and it was very cheap. Now, on here you've got films like Get Out, Split, Ouija, Boy Next Door, Unfriended, Ouija, the second one, and The Visit. Now, Split, it's not a horror film. Get Out, I don't really consider to be a horror film, but there you go. Then from Arrow, we have The Woman. Now, if I'm right in thinking, this has, yeah, 2 films in it, The Woman and The Offspring. I couldn't tell you why I bought this. I don't know. It's just a spur of the moment sort of thing when, yeah, there you go. Anyway, next up we have the From Dusk Till Dawn trilogy. Again, would I really class this as horror? I know it's vampires and all this sort of stuff, and there's some blood and gore in it, but this is where the horror genre for me, you know, it crosses a vast array of films and steps into other territories that are not strictly, in my mind, horror. Now, I've got a load of films here that shouldn't even be in this pile that I've got in front of me. Next up is Oculus with Karen Gillan. I saw the trailer, it looked pretty good. I've yet to watch the film. It cost me like £2. I've got loads here that shouldn't be in this pile. And then I have the Hannibal Lecter trilogy. So this contains Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. Red Dragon being the remake version of the film with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, I suppose you could class Hannibal as a sort of horror. And this is another, like I said about Alien and that sci-fi horror genre. I've got Leviathan. This is a bit like Event Horizon, I suppose, but under the sea. It's sort of like sci-fi horror aspect to it. But again, Event Horizon I've got, and I won't be showing it. Then we have Don't Breathe. Yep. Doctor Sleep. The Shining sequel. I do have The Shining as well. And House on Haunted Hill. Yep. And obviously one that definitely is horror, and that is the very first Evil Dead in this fantastic solid slip. And this is the 4K version of the Evil Dead with a poster in it. And art cards in there. So yeah, fantastic, from director Sam Raimi. I do love the Evil Dead films because I love Bruce Campbell. I think he's fantastic. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that image on the back is very likely drawn by Alex Ross, who is a comic book artist. Fantastic. So some steelbooks now, and again, are these really horror? They were back in the day, but so we've got The Bride of Frankenstein there, The Mummy, Dracula, the original, nearly 100 years old, The Invisible Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and another different steelbook for The Creature of the Black Lagoon. Then Frankenstein, that's only a PG Frankenstein, but yeah, I suppose it'd fall under that sort of genre, I suppose. That's the 4K version. The others I ain't got in 4K because I already had the steelbooks prior to the 4Ks being released of some of them. So Frankenstein was the only one I didn't have on that other lot of 4K steelbooks, so thusly I got the steelbook 4K for it. Then jumping back to Jigsaw. Is it Jigsaw? What's the name of that series? Saw. Jigsaw's the villain. So jumping back to Saw, we got Spiral, the continuation, the new one. And then obviously I had Don't Breathe 1, Don't Breathe 2, 4K version. I have seen the film, this version. This is still sealed, but I have seen it. And I did enjoy it. Then Evil Dead 2, steelbook. Fantastic steelbook, this one. Look at that. Brilliant. But is this, I can't recall, is this 4K? I think it is. May be wrong, I don't know. Yes, it's 4K, it's got art cards in there and all stuff like that. So that's good, but yeah, it's just superb steelbook. I want the 4K of Army of Darkness. I need it. Now, stepping down into a franchise now, which I quite enjoy actually, The Conjuring. Newer type of horror. I like the setting. I like the fact it was set slightly in the past, based on some sort of elements of truth, with taking away all the sort of gadgetry of today. I enjoyed that aspect of it. And The Conjuring 2. Now I've yet to pick up the third Conjuring film. I have seen it. And I will pick it up. It's about £8 on Blu-ray at the moment, but I don't know. I will pick. I've never picked up a Conjuring film brand new. It's always been later on for some reason. There's just no, I don't need to watch them again that quick. Then obviously keeping in the world of The Conjuring, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, The Nun, and The Curse of La Llorona. Now, I didn't watch them when they first came out. They'd all been released, and I watched the original Conjurings, but I ignored the others because, like I said, I'm not overly big into horror. But I decided at one point, I'm going to go and watch all them, and I sort of watched them all in one hit almost over about a week or so. And then we have Bone Tomahawk, a western with sort of horror elements, Kurt Russell. So is it really horror? See, I wouldn't show the thing in this, I don't think, even though it's got some body horror aspect to it. It's a sci-fi film, isn't it? So this is where the horror genre just sort of mixes into everything. And then we've got the film Rubber, about the tyre that goes after people and kills them. What a load of rubbish. Wes Craven, shocker. I remember enjoying this back in the day as a kid. This is a German version, as I believe, and I've still yet to watch it again. But, yeah. And then we have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. We've got the 4K version coming out very soon. I actually paid 12 quid for that a while ago. And I have got the pre-order of the 4K, on pre-order. Stepping back to a sort of Western theme setting, we have Danny Trejo and Jake Busey in Dead Again in Tombstone. Now I haven't watched this. I thought the trailer looks okay. Again, I don't know if it's horror or not. Another one, Bubba Hotep. Again, questionable. Horror comedy. I don't know. But then we have The Evil Dead. Now this is the remake version of the film. And then I have the Evil Dead trilogy. Evil Dead 2, and The Army of Darkness. Obviously, you can see that I've got Evil Dead 4K and Evil Dead 2 4K. Just the weight in The Army of Darkness, but I've also got this version of The Army of Darkness as well because I just love the film. This is one of the top films of all time. I love Bruce Campbell in this. I love the character of Ash. I just think this is a fantastic film. So fun, so enjoyable, highly quotable. And obviously then I have season 1 of Ash vs Evil Dead with this fantastic lenticular. Season 2, Ash vs Evil Dead. And season 3 of Ash vs Evil Dead with cover by, again, Alex Ross, who I mentioned on the back of the Evil Dead hard case slip. And he also drew all those, not Frankenstein 4K, but the other steelbooks, with the exception of the second Creature from the Black Lagoon. He's a comic book artist, fantastic. Yeah, so it makes sense. If he's been commissioned to draw a Ash here, he's drawn an Ash on that one as well for Evil Dead. So yeah, that makes sense. That is actually him. Yeah, fantastic series. I loved this. It's unfortunate that it ended when it did, but it's funny because Army of Darkness has 2 endings. Yeah, the one where he's goes into the future, and the one where he's goes back to modern day, and yeah, he's like a hero of sorts. Now, this series continues from that latter, the second one I mentioned there, where he gets back to modern day. So, interestingly, as a narrative, and I don't know if people realise this, you can watch the Evil Dead 1, 2 and 3. And if they were to ever do a 4th one, I know there's another Evil Dead film come out, but if they were ever to do one that was set in the future, you could go 1, 2, 3 and watch the future one, right? Alternatively, you could go, 1, 2, 3, watching the 3rd one with the ending in the future, and then you could go into the future film. Or you could watch 1, 2, 3 with the ending that he remains in the past, or not in the past, in present day, then go into the TV series where he ends up in the future, and both the ending for that and the other ending for that could both lead into a future set film. So both ways around, narratively, you end up there. And that's what the TV series done. It took it and ended us up at the same point where essentially the 3rd film in the alternate ending took us and ended us. Just an interesting little fact there. Next up, we have film starring Robert Englund. Not Freddy, not Nightmare on Elm Street. Robert Englund and Jenna Jameson in Zombie Strippers. Yeah, now, this is one of my earliest Blu-rays. This, when I first started getting into Blu-rays, I picked this up. Cheap, trash, yeah. But there you go. Then we have here, what do we have? Jennifer Lawrence, House at the End of the Street. All that, I've got to get that off. That was a cheap pickup. Not yet watched it. Another cheap film. Christ almighty, why did I buy this stuff? Lucy Pinder stars in this. Strippers versus Werewolves. Oh my God. I've got some trash. And this is... Look, I'm not disrespecting people who like horror, the horror genre, but Christ, it goes into some tripe. Then we got a film called Nurse 3D. This is the Australian version, 15 plus, strong violence, sexualised violence, blood and gore and sex scenes. Yeah, it's a bit of titillation in it. She was in Boardwalk Empire, and if I turn around here, I've got my back to you, don't worry about that. There's a steelbook for the film. I can't recommend the film to you. No, I can't. But there you go. So yeah, moving on. So classic now, American Werewolf in London. Arrow release. I have got the 4K on pre-order, I believe. And then we have Cabin in the Woods with a fantastic sort of lenticular. But then I wouldn't really class it again as horror. Maybe you people who are horror fanatics can tell me whether you class this stuff as horror or not. The Chernobyl Diaries. Yeah. And then Cockneys versus Zombies, which is a zombie film, British set zombie film, and he's sort of, you know, London gangstery types, and lovely lenticular on it. It was an enjoyable film, stupid, enjoyable. Now, a lot of my favourite horror franchises come from when I was a lad and when I was a young boy, and you know, obviously you get into horror then and that. I want Freddy versus Jason t-shirt or top. So yeah, one of my favourites, Chucky. I do love Chucky. I love the elements of humour that's put into it because it gives me a bit more than just the horror and the slash and all that. And you've got a character that is a character as opposed to Jason and Mike Myers from Halloween. They're just like killing a brute that goes on, mindless brute that goes on and kills. There's no character to that character. But with Freddy and characters like Chucky, you get a bit of character and a bit of humour and this sort of thing, and that makes it easier for me to watch. So this is Child's Play 1 to 7, Chucky set. I know that I think in the States you got a nice lenticular on that, didn't you? We didn't get that. I missed out. Then we have the Child's Play remake. Now, I recently reviewed all these, and I've done a ranking video, and I reviewed each film separately in the lead up to the Chucky TV series. Now, all I can say is I'm not really a fan of the remake. But what I love is that even this just continues from these. You got Don Mancini, who's the architect of the Child's Play films, and he's there all the way through each film he's involved in, and with the TV series as a writer and all that. So you've got so much DNA and so much connective tissue through each film and into the TV series that there's plot points in this that come back from the films, characters that come back from the films. It is a continuation of the films. It doesn't do its own, it doesn't go off and do its own thing in the sense that it dismisses everything that comes before. It's a full-on sort of continuation, and it's been picked up for season 2, which is fantastic because I did love it. So yeah, fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's my part 1 done and finished. So all I can say is thank you for watching. Please consider hitting the subscribe button and all that. Come back tomorrow because my part 2 for this video with the rest of my horror stuff is going to be then. Same time, same place. Yeah, so this is AJ. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, in part 2. Come back. See you later. Take care. Goodbye.